We are anonymous. No faces, no flags, no permission slips. So listen, because what just surfaced is the kind of breaking news that makes your stomach drop. Not because it's surprising, but because it confirms what so many people have been warning about. The Trump machine doesn't just bend the rules. It smothers them, locks them up, and calls the lock national security. A leaked memo has reportedly exposed a secret whistleblower complaint tied to Donald Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, one that was allegedly kept hidden for months. Not misplaced, not lost in paperwork, hidden, locked in a safe. And the justification that the complaint itself posed a threat to national security. Think about that logic. The complaint is dangerous, so the person accused gets to lock it away where nobody can see it. That's not national security. That's self-protection wearing a flag as a disguise. The whistleblower complaint was filed in 2025 under the category known as urgent concern. That phrase matters because it's supposed to trigger a specific process, one designed to stop exactly this kind of cover-up. If a complaint is truly an urgent concern, it is supposed to be transmitted to Congress, specifically to the intelligence oversight committees, so elected officials can evaluate it and respond. That's the whole point of having legal channels for whistleblowers. The complaint can't be quietly smothered by the very people it implicates. But here's the problem. This urgent concern complaint didn't move like it was urgent. According to the information described in the reporting, Tulsi Gabbard allegedly spent about 8 months keeping it from reaching Congress. 8 months of delay on something labeled urgent concern is not a clerical hiccup. It's a choice. It's a strategy. And now that the memo is out, the whistleblower's lawyers are setting a deadline. They're basically saying if Gabbard's office doesn't provide a lawful way to transmit this complaint to the Congressional Intelligence Committees, they will take it directly to Congress themselves, because the law doesn't treat urgent concern as optional. It's not a suggestion. It's a mandate. So what is the complaint about? Based on what's been described, the whistleblower complaint filed on May 21, 2025, by an intelligence official alleges that Gabbard restricted the distribution of highly classified intelligence reports for political purposes. That is a massive accusation. If true, it suggests the top U.S. intelligence leadership used control over sensitive information, not to protect the country, but to protect a political agenda. And here's the part that should make you furious. The situation appears to have become whistleblower inception, because there's a whistleblower complaint about the mishandling of a whistleblower complaint. One whistleblower is essentially saying, I'm blowing the whistle because the system that's supposed to transmit urgent concerns to Congress is hiding urgent concerns. That's how deep the dysfunction is. That's how badly oversight is being obstructed. The reporting describes how lawmakers only learned the document existed in November after the whistleblower's attorney shared a letter with Congress accusing Gabbard of stonewalling disclosure. Think about the implications. The complaint exists, it's classified, it's considered urgent, but the people whose job it is to oversee intelligence operations allegedly weren't even told it existed until the whistleblower's lawyer forced the issue. Now let's talk about the excuses, because every cover-up comes with one. We're told the information is highly classified. We're told there were months of wrangling about how to share it with Congress. But Congress has secure systems. The intelligence committees exist specifically to handle classified material. The idea that classification makes it impossible to inform Congress doesn't hold up as an honest explanation. It holds up as a convenient obstacle, especially when the person controlling the flow of information is the person being accused. The letter from the whistleblower's lawyers adds more context. In plain terms, they claim their client followed the proper security protocols and respected guidance on how to transmit the complaint lawfully and safely. They emphasize that the disclosure directly impacts national security and the American people, and they accuse Gabbard's office of providing zero guidance despite multiple requests. That's not cooperation. That's stonewalling. That's delaying until people get tired and move on. And this is where the story gets even darker. The reporting also describes a timeline where the acting inspector general initially deemed the complaint an urgent concern and credible enough to proceed. Then, just 3 days later, newly obtained evidence appeared and the process shifted. There are references to delays caused by a government shutdown, and there are claims that Gabbard's office dismissed the complaint as politically motivated and baseless, refusing to share it. But here's the fundamental issue. It is not the job of the person accused to decide whether the accusation deserves oversight. The point of transmitting an urgent concern to Congress is that Congress evaluates it. When the subject of the complaint controls the pipeline to Congress, the conflict of interest is so obvious, you shouldn't even have to explain it. Yet here we are. Now, to understand why so many people are alarmed, you have to understand who Tulsi Gabbard is in the political ecosystem and why her positioning under Trump feels like gasoline near a fire. Gabbard has long been surrounded by controversy related to her foreign policy posture, including her history of meeting with Syria's Bashar al-Assad and her habit of treating authoritarian regimes with a kind of sympathy or softness that makes allies nervous. For people who have watched dictators crush dissent, gas civilians, and rule through fear, the idea that someone like that gets normalized or defended is not just a difference of opinion. It's a moral and security problem. And that matters because the Director of National Intelligence isn't a cable news pundit. It's one of the highest, most sensitive roles in the U.S. government. That office touches alliances, intelligence sharing, covert assessments, and the lifeblood of security cooperation. If allies believe the person in that role is compromised, reckless, or politically weaponized, they pull back. They stop trusting. They limit what they share. That has real consequences for American security, not theoretical ones. In the narrative described earlier, there's also mention that many European officials and foreign leaders were worried about U.S. cooperation under Trump's appointments, including fears that people like Gabbard could be compromised or unreliable. Whether you agree with that framing or not, the fact remains. Perception matters in intelligence relationships. Trust is currency, and Trump burns trust the way arsonists burn buildings fast, loud, and with a grin. But the biggest connecting thread here isn't foreign policy. It's elections, because alongside the whistleblower scandal, there is another troubling episode described. Tulsi Gabbard reportedly appeared outside the Fulton County election hub, an operations center in Georgia, standing in or near a vehicle loaded with boxes, talking on the phone, after the FBI executed a search warrant there. Fulton County is not a random place. Georgia is not a random state. It's one of the most contested areas in modern U.S. elections, and it's a state Trump has attacked relentlessly, especially after losing it. So when the Director of National Intelligence shows up at an election operations center in Fulton County after an FBI search warrant, people are going to ask the obvious question, why is she there? Normally, the DNI does not supervise local elections. The DNI does not run county election centers. The DNI does not need to be hanging around a vehicle full of boxes outside an election hub during an FBI operation, unless something bigger is happening. And then comes the public messaging. Trump's spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, claimed that Gabbard had been tapped by Trump to oversee the sanctity and security of American elections, working directly alongside FBI Director Kash Patel in a coordinated whole-of-government effort to ensure elections are fair and transparent. Let me say it the way it sounds to anyone with working instincts. That does not reassure people. It terrifies them. A whole-of-government effort led by Trump, involving loyalists aimed at securing elections, is exactly what it sounds like, an attempt to put the machinery of government close enough to election operations that it can pressure, influence, intimidate, or shape outcomes under the pretense of integrity. You don't rebuild trust in democracy by inserting partisan loyalists into election-adjacent law enforcement operations. You rebuild trust by keeping politics away from the process, not by wrapping control in patriotic language. And now connect the dots. You have an alleged urgent concern whistleblower complaint accusing the DNI of restricting intelligence for political reasons. You have months of alleged stonewalling and secrecy, with the complaint reportedly locked in a safe. You have election-related activity in a contested county in a contested state. You have a Trump administration framing itself as the guardian of election integrity while consistently acting like the enemy of independent oversight. These pieces don't exist in isolation. They form a pattern. Now I need to be careful here, because speculation is not evidence. People have floated theories that the hidden complaint could involve foreign influence or the sharing of secrets. Others claim Trump could be using the complaint as leverage over Gabbard to keep her obedient. Those are possible scenarios, but they require proof before anyone treats them as fact. What we can say, based on the core story as presented, is that there is a whistleblower complaint. It was labeled urgent concern, and the process of getting it to Congress became extraordinarily obstructed, while Gabbard appears connected to an election-related enforcement episode in Georgia. And that is enough to demand accountability, because the danger here is bigger than one person. The danger is what Trump does to institutions. Trump doesn't appoint independent protectors of the system. He appoints instruments. He appoints people who will do his bidding, protect his ego, shield him from consequences, and retaliate against anyone who tries to expose the truth. That's what this looks like. The intelligence apparatus treated like a political weapon, whistleblowers treated like enemies, oversight treated like a nuisance, and elections treated like something to be managed rather than respected. This is why critics keep saying that national security is being used as a magic word, an incantation that ends debate. It's classified, it's sensitive, it's a threat, and suddenly nobody is allowed to ask questions. But when you allow that logic to dominate, you create a government where accountability dies behind locked doors. And when accountability dies, democracy follows. So what do? We don't numb out. We don't laugh it off. We don't let it become background noise. The reason these tactics work is because people get overwhelmed and quit paying attention. They want you exhausted. They want you cynical. They want you convinced that nothing matters, so you stop participating. But it does matter. Oversight matters. Whistleblower protections matter. Election integrity matters. And if there is even a chance that intelligence power is being twisted to serve Trump's political agenda, the response cannot be silence. The answer is pressure. The answer is sunlight. The answer is demanding that Congress receive what it is legally supposed to receive. The answer is refusing to accept locked in a safe as an acceptable way to handle an urgent concern complaint. Here's my closing message. Short and sharp. Don't let them bury this story. Share it. Talk about it. Demand oversight. Demand hearings. Demand that whistleblowers aren't punished for telling the truth. And when election day comes, vote like you already know what they're trying to do. And we are anonymous. Expect us